Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go through my summer TBR. Every season I set a 15 book TBR of just books that are on my shelf that I really want to get to within the 3 months that I designate for that specific season. So for me, summer is June, July, August. So these are books that I will be trying to add to my monthly TBR, but they'll also be the first books I reach for if they're not on my monthly TBR once I'm through that each month, just to try to get through them, because to me they are more summer themed, or they're just ones that I've been wanting to get to for a while. So I'm gonna go through them relatively briefly. I don't want this to be too overwhelming because I will talk about these more like as I choose them for TBRs or as I read them in vlogs, but I want to go through the books and I'm gonna try to do it in like relative genre order. So before we get started, let me know what books you're looking forward to reading in the summertime. Do you read romances? Do you read whatever you want? Usually the summers are more romance heavy for me, a little bit less on the fantasy, and you'll see that in this TBR that is apparent. And I do start to get more into my thriller mood when we're getting into summer. Some of the thrillers just hit well in the summer as well as going into fall. So let me know in the comments below what books you're looking forward to, and let's get started. So the first book I'm going to talk about is a historical fiction, and I picked it up at an ARC sale at a local bookstore a while ago, and that is The Secret War of Julia Child. This is by Diana R. Chambers, and it's basically Julia Child's story before she became the TV star that we all know and love her as. And I've always loved her. I cook like her. I just think she is hilarious. She's just a fun time, and I don't know. She's just been a very fascinating person to me my entire life. I'm not like obsessed with her, but she's just been someone that I've like always wanted to know more about. So this is just about her going to Asia, and this is where she meets her husband, her eventual husband and everything. So very excited for this. I thought it was interesting. I'm trying to, expand my genres, and this one really stood out to me when I found it in the bookstore. It did come out just like last October, so it won't even be a year from when I read it if I read it during the summertime. Next, I picked up Shark Heart. So I think this is more like lit fic, just like fiction. It's written in verse, which is why I picked it up, because one of the 52 prompts for 52 and 52 prompts is read a book written in verse, and this is. So it's always been a little interesting to me just because the premise is very different. It is about this couple that recently got married, and then as soon as they're married, the husband is diagnosed with this rare disorder where he's slowly turning into a great white shark. That's all I know, and honestly that's kind of all I want to know going in, because that's just such a strange premise of a book that I don't want anything to be spoiled. I just want to go in and see like what the whole purpose of the book is. But it's got very good reviews. I think it was like a finalist for a lot of like book of the years and everything. So when it released a paperback, and I just saw it recently, I was like, well, you know what? Why not give it a shot? And it just really has like beautiful summer vibes to me. I think the original book was like a teal green, but I liked this purple and then the flowers on the shark. They give me like summer going into fall. So, all right, next we're going to do thrillers. First, I have Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. This is the last book I currently own that she has out that I have not read. And I think she has another one coming out, like You Belong Here, or You Don't Belong Here. I can't remember. She has that coming out this year, so I wanted to read this before I get behind by 2 books again. A lot of her books are very similar in their themes. Like, it's a small town. This person comes back to the town. There's a mystery they get involved in. And there's usually a subplot of romance. But let's see what this one is. There's a street called Hollow's Edge where it's supposed to be like a place where you can find secrets, scandal, and a suspected killer. And there was a murder on that street of Brandon and Fiona Truitt. And the residents there are now trapped by the trial of one of their own, Ruby Fletcher. Her conviction is overturned and she goes right back there into the home she shared with her friend. And Harper, Ruby's friend, always treated her like a wayward younger sister, but now she's terrified. What good could come of Ruby returning to the scene of the crime? And then of course it's like, but the truth wasn't like, was the truth really told, or all the secrets out? When Harper begins receiving threatening notes, she realizes she has to uncover the truth before someone else becomes the killer's next victim. Usually there's a subplot of romance, but I don't know if that'll be that way for this one. We'll see. Sometimes the character is not mentioned on the back. So I always enjoy her books. I know what to expect going into them, and they're not like, I don't know, I just go in for the enjoyment factor in a thriller. Like, if I can guess the ending, so be it. But if I'm like enthralled and keep wanting to pick it up regardless, that's when I'm going to enjoy a thriller. So looking forward to getting that one off the list. Next I have Karen McManus' Such Charming Liars, which is her newest release. Again, she may have another book coming out this year. I'm not sure. This one is actually signed too, and I didn't know that when I bought it. And I bought it off Book Outlet because it's got the dot on the bottom, but it is signed in the front. So that was kind of a fun little discovery. So this says, for all of Kat's life, it's just been her and her mother Jamie, except for the 48 hours when Jamie was married and Kat had a stepbrother Liam that ended in an epic divorce, and Kat and Liam haven't spoken since. Now Jamie, a jewel thief trying to go straight, has one last job, a billionaire Ross Sutherland's birthday party. And Kat has figured out a way to tag along. What Kat doesn't know, though, is that there are 2 surprise guests at the dazzling Sutherland compound that weekend. The last 2 people she wants to run into, Liam and his father, a serial scammer who has his sights set on Ross Sutherland's youngest daughter. Kat and Liam are on a collision course to disaster. When a Sutherland dies, they realize that they may actually be in the killer's crosshairs themselves. Somehow, Kat and Liam are now the targets, and they can't trust anyone except each other, or can they? Because if there's one thing both Kat and Liam know, it's how to lie. I enjoy Karen McManus' books as well. They're very quick reads. They're YA thrillers, so they're not like too dark or too, they don't get gory or anything, so I do enjoy them. And she writes in a very like, her story, she tells really nice stories, I guess, within her thrillers is the best way to describe it. And I've enjoyed her characters in all of them, so I'm almost caught up on her backlist as well, so this will get me closer to that. I think there's only one other book that I have to read that I just bought from her. Next, I have Gwendys Final Task by Stephen King and Richard Chismar. This is one of the oldest books I have on my TBR, so that is why it is on summer TBR, because I don't want it to go past the summer, because I'll have had it for more than a year. I originally was going to read the first 2 stories in this, but you don't have to, and they're both very little and very expensive, so I was like, I don't want to pay all that money for 2 novellas when you don't really need to read that to go into this, from what I've seen. So eventually I may read them if I find them for a more affordable option, but I just couldn't stomach paying what was wanted for them for the length that they are. So this says, when Gwendy was 12, an enigmatic stranger named Richard Ferris gave her a mysterious box for safekeeping. It offered treats and vintage coins, but it was dangerous. Pushing any of its 7 colored buttons promised death and destruction. So now, years later, the box is back in her life. She is now a successful novelist and rising political star, but is once again forced to deal with the temptation that the box represented. Now evil forces seek to possess the button box, and it is up to Gwendy to keep it from them at all costs. But where can you hide something from such powerful entities? So most of Stephen King's books have some type of a paranormal element to them, most of them, not all of them, but that is what this seems to be. So we'll see how that goes. It usually takes me a little while to get into his books, but I did want to add one of his to the TBR because I have quite a few of them on my physical TBR that I want to get through, so I figured adding one to the summer TBR would be a more of an incentive to get to it. And since this is the oldest one, I wanted to get to it. So we'll see how this one goes. This is the first one I've read that's written by him and somebody else, I think. So we'll see. We'll see if I can tell that there was a secondary author in that. Okay, and this is another arc that I picked up, but I had to read it in the summer because this gives like summery bonfire vibes to me. It's called A Game of Lies by Claire McIntosh, and this came out April of last year, so it'll be over a year, obviously. We're already over a year. This is about a reality show that is taking place on this like remote island, and if you get voted off, not only are you out of the competition, but you have this, all of these contestants have a lie that they're concealing, and that lie or that secret gets told, they're going to be exposed on the show, whatever their secret is. So then somebody, I think, ends up dead, and they're trying to figure out who the killer is, you know, typical thriller. But I've read one other Claire McIntosh novel, I believe. I can't remember what it was called. Well, I think I got it like free from Barnes & Noble as like an ebook pick for the month because I'm a member. But this just looked like a fun thriller to read in the summer, and I thought I'd add it to the TBR. And then lastly, a book I've wanted to read for quite some time, but just recently I think I got it end of last year, early this year, Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. All I know about this is that it's supposed to be reminiscent of Ted Bundy in the sorority house. When he was doing his murder spree, serial killing spree, he entered a sorority house, and I believe he killed all but one woman, or she at least survived to be able to tell the police like what happened. I don't remember 100%, and I think this is supposed to be reminiscent of that story. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. I've heard great things about this. I've also heard great things about Luckiest Girl Alive by this author, so if I like this, I might pick that book up as well. We'll see. I go through phases where like all I want to do is listen to true crime, and that was kind of the phase I was in when I first saw this book, and it's just never left my mind. So when I saw it on Book Outlet, I immediately added to cart. Okay, and now we're going to talk about the 3 fantasies that I have on my summer TBR. The first is Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I don't know too much about this other than the main character's name is Diem, and I think it's like a enemies to lovers. Maybe. I don't really understand, but I know that there is, I don't know if she has like secret powers or like powers people don't know about. I don't know exactly, but this has been all over BookTube, all over Book Talk. And I just wanted to give it a go because a lot of people have really enjoyed it. Maybe not so much the first book, but I know that like as the series goes along, it gets better. So this one's very short. I know they also get much longer, so I did want to get a start on this because I've had it for a few months now, and I plan on finishing up a few series over the next 2 months or so, so I will have the opportunity to start some more. So very excited for that one. I also think these covers are absolutely stunning, and they're now being like traditionally published, so I picked this one up when it was, and I will continue to pick them up as I move along in the series. Next is Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel. This is about a mother, it's a retelling of some goddess's story. I don't remember, Ganga. So what I know about this one is that we have Ganga, who has a curse to become mortal. She's a goddess that's cursed to become mortal, and then she marries someone to help like break the curse or something, and then part of that is that she has to eventually leave her son behind, and he now carries her curse. That's all I really know. I haven't heard too much about this. This was the first Illumicrate book that I got from my subscription, so I don't know that I would have picked it had I not had to do it to like activate my account, but I still think it's a beautiful book, and I could really end up enjoying it, so I don't know. We'll see how I feel about it. I'm not a big like mythology retelling person, so we'll see. Sometimes they're okay, sometimes I'm just like, I did not enjoy that at all, so we'll give it a go, but it is one of the oldest ones, again, on my TBR, so I wanted to get that on the list for the summer. Another Illumicrate fantasy book is Jang Luck by Makana Yamamoto, and this is like a heist, I think, and it's kind of urban fantasy-esque because there's a lot of technology and stuff here, but there's like a group of people that go on a heist, and it's kind of just like, what can go wrong with it? That's all I really know. I think, again, this book is stunning. I've been wanting to read this one. If you watched a few TBRs ago, maybe the last, no, it wasn't the last one, it was the one before that, I think. I really, like, waffled on this one and another book and ended up picking the other book. But I've really been wanting to read this one because I love a good heist story, so excited to make this a priority. And now for some romances. And again, some of the older books on my physical TBR have made this list just because I do want to not keep books on my TBR for, like, a lot over a year. I try to cap it at a year just because then I'm just not going to be interested in it anymore. So this is Try Me by Tana Fensk, and this was a book from my romance reveal box, and I think this is kind of like a girl comes to town and is trying to like take over land and is like bring ritzy, you know, outsiders in, and this other guy doesn't want her to do that, and I think there's a romance between them. That is my understanding from what I've read on the back in the gist of things. So I think it's like rivals to lovers, and then I think there's a little bit more depth based on like what their little snippets of for Cassidy, who's the FMC, on the back. That's kind of all I know. So it looks like obviously a perfect summer romance, and I've been holding on to it for that. It is part of the Cherry Blossom Lake romantic comedy, so hopefully it'll be a little funny too. Perfect for like a sitting outside and reading when it's beautiful out. So first romance. So then I have Spill the Sweet Tea by Lyra Parrish. This is book 2 in the Valentine, Texas series. I've never read book 1. This again came out of my romance reveal box. And I believe this is second chance romance, small town, journalist. Yeah, she's a journalist, and then like her ex comes back to town after saying he never would, and then like rumors start swirling about why he's really there and all of that. So small town, second chance romance. It's pretty much all I need to know going in. And again, a quick short read. I think both of these books are like just over 200 pages, which is also very nice in the summer because you just want some quick reads, especially if I do some 24-hour readathons on long weekends. Those are always great for that. Alright, and then I have Catherine Center's Hello Stranger. This is about an artist who develops this like rare condition where like human faces are unrecognizable to her, like they get all jumbled, and she has like a few weeks to do a portrait before it's entered into a competition. So she ends up like something with her dog's vet, who she's also apparently got a crush on. Okay, so there's a veterinarian, her dog's veterinarian, and then her neighbor. The vet is like someone she has a crush on, and then the neighbor is someone like she obviously just keeps running into, and they're both vying for her attention and adding to her chaos. So I'm wondering if that starts to get confusing for her because she can't recognize who's who. But it says it's a lot, but it doesn't mean it's bad, just because the truth is seeing the world differently has its upsides, and love has an undeniable way of giving us courage, and the best way of looking is always, always with the heart. So, as with most Catherine Center books, I think there's going to be a lot of depth and a lot of emotion to this, so very excited. It is a very interesting premise. I'm gonna bet by the cover that she ends up with the vet just because there's a doggy here, but who knows? I could be surprised. We never know. Then I have the final book in Avalon Bay series by Elle Kennedy, The Summer Girl. And I think this is about, like, again, another rich girl coming to this town, and she's just kind of looking for a summer hookup, and she hasn't been to this town in years, and she meets Tate, who is, like, the town golden boy, and I think a little bit of a playboy, if I remember correctly. Yeah. He just likes his flings, and he likes to have flings with girls that are visiting, because then he doesn't have to see them again. From what I remember from the first two books, which were... I can't find them. Oh, Good Girl Complex and Bad Girl Reputation. I have enjoyed these. They haven't been my favorite Elle Kennedy books. I read the other two last summer and then just never got around to this one, and just because it's called The Summer Girl, I could not bring myself to read it in the fall or the winter, so, and knew it was going to end up on the TBR for this summer. And again, short, just over 300 pages, and great sit outside on the weekend and read book, and it'll give me nice romance vibes for summertime, and it'll finish a series, so looking forward to crossing that one off the series list, because that's what we do. We're trying to do. And then finally, the last book is Summer in the City by Alex Astor. This is her newest release. This is her first romance release, and it is about a struggling author, I believe, who had a hookup with her tech billionaire neighbor, and then they kind of don't talk anymore, but she also kind of uses him as a muse, and they hate each other for some reason now. But because he's her muse, she wants to still keep contact with him to be able to write. And he doesn't want a relationship, but he needs somebody to go to like these events and stuff with him, so they kind of work up a mutual agreement with each other, and it's a romance, so I think we know what's gonna happen there. So I think it's like fake dating essentially, but they also kind of reluctantly are working together because they don't particularly love each other. I have not heard, no, have I seen anyone read it? I think I've seen a few people read it and they've liked it, so haven't heard like raving reviews or like people really hating it, so I'm guessing people are just remaining pretty neutral on it, but it has been selling out like everywhere because I do follow Alex Astor on the socials, and she's been having trouble finding copies of the books to sign when she goes into stores because they're selling out, so that's a good sign. But I also got the Barnes & Noble one, so it has the little taxis on it. All of her books for like every different store had something different on it. This one had the heart on the front, so. And I did get the signed edition, so I don't have to have her sign mine, but it was just really cute, and I have enjoyed the Light Lark series by her, so when I saw she was releasing a romance and that it was like a cute fun time, I thought why not. So those are all 15 books. Like previously mentioned, if you can let me know in the comments below what books you're looking forward to reading this summer, and if any of these books are on your TBR, or if you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts, feelings, whatever you have to say about them, let me know. And I thank you all so much for watching, and hope to see you all in the next video.